All right. You're just getting here, Kameshwari. Kate, I'm just getting here too. Welcome. Greetings. Thanks for joining. Sorry about the late start. Just had a very busy morning. Lots going on. And yeah, it was action packed. So here I am, just sliding into home, making it to the show. And as always, I feel like I just cannot, there's no way to really cover all the subjects I want to cover. But, trying to get to the most pertinent ones out there, or at least something I feel like is important to everyone. Let's see. Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, all right. Something like that. Okay. Yeah. So we're covering stuff I think that is important. If you don't think it's important, it's okay. It's okay. That's why there are 300,000 different podcasts in the universe, so that you can find the one that you want to listen to. If this is the one you want to listen to, rock on. Glad you're here. All right, so let's get into it. So much to cover today. I'm not really sure where I'm going to start. I've been a little bit frazzled. No, Malcolm, that is absolutely true. You cannot please all the people all the time. I'm not anybody's marionette or programmable robot type. So what a boring world that would be if you just everybody agreed with everybody all the time. I mean, it'd probably get us a little closer to utopia, but I don't know. I know there's some saying about Extra Bullet says, I came for the news, I stay for the all-you-can-eat buffet. Excellent. And, I mean, if you want to get like culty feel good, all those culty fuzzy feelings inside, then, find your cult and get in there and do it to the best of your ability. Cult it up. All right. There's a lot going on as far as the ideas around what is going on with the riots. But we're not going to start there. Change it up. Starting with Climate Dad at 4C, scientists predict 90% of the world's population could die. I don't know if could is the operative word there, but we'll go with that. Sorry, we're getting some helicopter interference here. We get a lot of flyovers where I'm at. And sorry, it's very loud. Try and wait till that goes away, but that is just people gonna die? Okay. Anyways, I heard that there were some things going on in Santa Ana, and we do have some. It's close. Santa Ana is close to here, so I don't know if that's why, but we do get regular flyovers in this neighborhood, kind of almost on the daily. All right, so Climate Dad, we're on track to hit 4C within our children's lifetimes. I'd say that's a pretty good estimate. 7 billion of plus avoidable deaths. Waiting for a journalist to ask a politician about this. Waiting for a journalist to ask a politician about this. Yeah, it has accelerated the warming, the off-balance Earth system. So it's happening. Oh, flyovers from 29 Palms to the Marine base. Yeah. At one time I lived kind of close to 29 Palms. Yeah. And there was a lot of activity for sure. There was a moment when I was posted up in Joshua Tree. Malcolm Young says Canadian prepper alluded to the military being deployed in preparation for a big war, and the immigrant stuff is the cover. Maybe. Certainly. Seems like it's going that way. So they're saying, let me see, all these predictions, just looking at this graph real quick, predictions that 4C is crossed. Let me see. Well, they're saying, this is the hilarious part, is that they're saying 1.5C is crossed at 2026, and we crossed it 2 years ago. So they're a little bit off in those predictions. Yeah, I don't know where they get these numbers, because we're solidly at like 1.6 or 1.7 if you're, depending on which chart you're looking at. So they're saying we're going to cross next year, and one says crossing 1.5 at 2024. So at least they're closer to reality. And I think it was 2023 that we crossed, basically. It was 2023. And we're saying they're going to cross 2 somewhere at the end of the next decade. ERA 5 saying 2034. Some people are predicting by 2030. If you're playing the short game. So let's extrapolate that all the way out to when we cross 4. This is saying anywhere from 2085 to 2075. And if you're actually counting correctly and counting the numbers as they are and looking at the rate of change as it is, I would suspect that it's probably closer than those dates, maybe in the 2050, 2060 range. Because when it gets hotter faster. That's the thing. As we get hotter, it gets hotter faster. So, I'm counting on these predictions being a little off, but who's counting? I'm just sipping my coffee, watching the world go by. I think these are tanks on. Who knows where these tanks are en route to? I think DC. Isn't there supposed to be a big military parade soon? But captioned correctly, all we want is healthcare. But no. What you really want is guns and AI surveillance. You just don't know it yet. Let's see. When is this military parade? Let's see. Well, there's some recent news on this. D.C. prepares for Trump's military parade with 18 miles of fencing and 175 magnetometers. That's fun. It's fun to say. Get your magnetometer today. Let's read this. As the nation's capital cleans up from the culmination of World Pride this past weekend, World Pride, I thought they canceled all that. I thought the Trump administration made a big to-do and a big show about canceling all that. Anyways, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. This can't say Sunday. We got Saturday. Is the military parade to honor the 250th birthday of the Army, woohoo, and the 79th birthday of President Donald Trump. What a crock of nonsense that is. We're preparing for an enormous turnout, said Matt McCool of the Secret Services. Matt McCool of the Secret Services sounds like a character on Maxwell Smart. Of the Secret Service's Washington field office, who said more than 18 miles of anti-scale fencing would be erected and multiple drones would be in the air. All right. The entire District of Columbia is normally a no-fly zone for drones. Except when there are drones. Army officials have estimated around, they're probably equipped with the latest in AI surveillance tech. Robot dogs. There's going to be some robot dogs. I'm sure. Rabid robot dogs, of course. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and they're rabid robot dogs. By the way, we're live on X, on YouTube, and on Telegrams. I don't think I ever ended the video chat from yesterday on Telegram, but so if you want to head on over there, it's probably playing right now on Telegram. If you want to watch on Telegram, one more time. Oh man! By the way, Bella, you sent me a link to the Corbett channel, and he had a really good video there about XMPP. Did you watch that video? That was it got me thinking. It got the wheels turning. It got me thinking, do I need my own XMPP server? Do I need my own little secret XMPP Black Bear News channel? I think I do. Anyways, I could work on that sometime soon, but I got to start from the beginning, and I don't even know where the beginning is. Anyways, a total of 175 magnetometers would be used as security checkpoints controlling access to the daytime birthday festival and the nighttime parade. Nighttime parade? Metropolitan Police Department Chief Pamela Smith predicted major impacts to traffic and advised attendees to arrive early or stay the heck away from D.C. Stay out that joint. Multiple protests of various sizes are planned for Saturday, of course. Question is, will they welcome the protesters with open, loving arms and then kettle them into oh, do you use it, Bella? How do you like it? Is it easy to use? It's simple, and I don't know. It looked like it was fairly simple setup. Just thinking about it, considering it. A magnetometer is a device that measures magnetic field or magnetic dipole movement. Different types of magnetometers measure the direction, strength, or relative change of magnetic field at a particular location. Okay. Why would you be using these? Magnetometers can be used as metal detectors. They can detect only magnetic metals, but can detect such metals at much greater distance than conventional metal detectors. All right, well then there you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, it just sounds really cool. Magnetometer, bro. I don't know, man. We're just moving through stories on a random, in a kind of random way today. Going South has entered the building. Bella, Extra Bulla, Kamashwari Kate, Holt, Zelene, a bunch of people are here. And many more. So we're gonna randomly jump around here because it is. So there's been a lot of, as I said at the top of the show, a lot of indications that there is hijinks going on in these protests, the LA protests specifically. It does, Extra Bullet. It sounds like some X-Men shit. People have nanometals from the jabs. Yeah, that's interesting. Breaking, we just saw people arrive in downtown LA with truckloads of bionic face shields that demonstrators quickly grabbed. Certainly seems like gear you'd wear if you're preparing for conflict with police. Who is funding this? Well, we kind of looked at No Kings. There's actually more news on. Oh man, I forgot. I got to grab a video. More news about the No Kings organization, and that it is funded. So I showed some video yesterday that No Kings has been is like putting ads out for actors. Yeah, I know. I was like, why? What makes him bionic? It sounds really cool, bro. I've got my bionic face shield and my magnetometer. No Kings equals CIA. Yeah. Well, they're funded by Walmart. The Walmart lady. The nice lady at Walmart. I'm jumping around too much here. Yeah, so we looked at that. Did we look at this video of LAPD smashing their own cars? I saw a better video of this, but that looks a little bit weird. Police damaging their own vehicle when they think no one is looking. Yeah, that looks a little. Is it magnetometer? 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 How? Which way? Which way? Oh shit. Hold on. This is a magnetometer or magnetometer. Okay. magnetometer. You know, I'm going to have to say potato, okay? I mean, this is just, there's not a lot of context for this, but it's an interesting video.
To people and find out what's really going on, what's their side of the story, to only get attacked and realize that they're all full of shit. Okay? Can't believe any of them. They're all full of shit.
Okay. All right.
You know, I live in LA.
I'm okay. We don't have to watch it again. Hold on, there's some here. The fact that they're busting their own windshield out in public says something about the hubris. Sure. Oh, I've even seen some of my rather normie liberal friends suggesting that there's some fakeness going on around the violence, and maybe that is maybe that's just becoming more evident. I don't know. Protesters in 25 buses, Austin bound, mayhap. Again, not a lot of context for this, but apparently these are a lot of buses going on the I-10. I don't know. But let's look at something a little more definitive, shall we? I meant to grab this earlier and I did not. Here we go. This is James Lee again. Well, he's got a couple of things here. And maybe we'll watch this. Here, we'll watch both. Okay, so regarding No Kings, Walmart is funding this. Christy Walton, billionaire heiress of Walmart, is funding No Kings. Protests all across America against Donald Trump. Question is, what is their end game? And this is a repost. I don't know who this is. Give me, sorry for that.
This is wild. A mysterious black truck just passed out all of these expensive bionic face shields to protesters in LA, and the news caught it on camera. I zoomed in and found out this is the UVEX bionic shield. These are not cheap. They're around $45 to $65, and you can't just get them in bulk. But one place that sells them is Walmart. And why is that important? Because there's a new protest being promoted called No Kings on June 14th. And even celebrities like Chrissy Teigen are posting it. And it's in magazines and newspapers. And guess who's behind this message? Christy Walton. That's right, one of the billionaire heiresses, a part of the Walmart family. Now, I don't know why they would be behind that protest against President Trump, but remember, just less than 3 weeks ago, President Trump tweeted about the whole tariff situation, saying Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars of last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. So, is it possible that maybe the Walmart family didn't like that, and now they're finding ways to make their voices heard? Or is this just a big coincidence? As always, let me know what you think about all of this down below.
Okay. Okay. That's one take. You know, I don't know if I'm totally I'm not totally gonna buy into that. James says, as I understand, things are melting worldwide. Ice is melting worldwide, yes. Let's watch this. Nico House. I'm gonna do a different tab. I'm gonna just clog up my tabs right now because that's what I love to do. No, they don't do things for the common good. That's correct. It's obvious that this is from Nico House. It's obvious that LA was specifically targeted by the Trump administration and right-wing media acolytes for one purpose and one purpose only: to stoke and provoke violence to gain support for the dystopian Palantir information gathering initiative. Here's the proof. Did we talk about Laura Loomer's post yesterday? About they need some Palantir tech over in Los Angeles to go take care of these people. Like, can you be any more? Can you lick a bigger boot? Do you have a bigger tongue to lick a bigger boot? Larry Loomer. Larry. Okay.
After what was a clear provocation by the Trump administration, Donald Trump decided to deploy the National Guard to quell the protests that took place in Los Angeles. And surprise, surprise, it actually made the situation worse and not better. And I want to be very clear, that was by design. So after Trump recently makes clear his plans to basically give Palantir, a private company, all of our information and gets a bunch of pushback, just by coincidence, I suppose, he decides to send a bunch of federal agents to LA to harass people about their immigration status at their jobs. Now, as you all know, LA is a sanctuary city. It was codified by the city council. The LAPD cannot get involved or just walk up on a random person because of their suspected immigration status on the street or at their job. And there are a lot of cities with a lot of immigrants, but you happen to pick the blue city where you knew it would be a problem, and you targeted them with federal agents, and things got out of hand. And then he switches up the rhetoric that is used to describe what took place during the protests. Trump's advisor, Stephen Miller, came out on X and said, deport the invaders or surrender to insurrection. Donald Trump himself literally called for the arrest of Gavin Newsom. And I don't like the guy, but bruh.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Listen, Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing.
Now, I need y'all to understand, this is how we know that this operation was carried out on purpose in Los Angeles, was targeted. And it was targeted to get support for Palantir's sinister, dystopian, information gathering AI, because there were protests in San Diego. And I'm sure the majority of y'all didn't hear about them, did you? There were also protests in Chicago this past weekend. There were also protests, smaller protests, in Houston. All of these protests happened within 7 days of each other. And yet the only one we saw being discussed nonstop by this administration and by the news is the one that happened in LA, the one that was referred to as a riot, even though we know the Trump administration provoked them. And lo and behold, look at the Trump shields like Laura Loomer immediately saying it's time to deploy Palantir tech to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. And we shouldn't be surprised that pro-Trump shields have come out in support of Palantir in light of the recent arrests in Los Angeles, because Tim Dillon discusses how Palantir is actually trying to buy off influencers, specifically to push their objective and get people to support the federal government using Palantir in the way that Trump intends to use it. Tim actually is predicting that there will be waves of influencers trying to justify the use of Palantir as the anti-terrorism savior in the next few months.
If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. I've been invited to Teal's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them. You know, I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? So my prediction, and I don't want to name names because I don't know, but my prediction is you're going to see a lot of people over the next 6 months start thinking this list's a great idea.
Right.
They're going to start telling you how great this is and how it's about terrorism. That's the what that'll start going.
Yeah. What did I just see here? Dang it. I'm missing it. There was a post about all the right-wing influencers, Jack Prosovic and who else? You know, those type of fools. You know, all, you know, saying, oh, we got to go, you know, every third world immigrant has to be locked. We got to go get this is the time. Come on now. These people are causing all the mayhem and the riots and the troubles and the whatever, you know. Patriot Act 2.0 incoming. Yeah. You know, so there seems to be a consensus and a concerted effort they injected the Palantir. Doge came in, injected the Palantir into everything, and now they're gonna turn it around and push it out on the masses, probably as quickly as they can. Steph C, friend of the show, longtime viewer and contributor in the chats. Saying this might be a reach, but what if all these ICE raids are leading up to people wanting to get chipped for identification purposes? Responding to Stuart Stevens, a simple question: masked men grab you and your child and demand proof of citizenship. What are you carrying at this moment that proves you are a U.S. citizen? I mean, you know, for one thing, sure. I mean, you know, maybe voluntarily or involuntarily they might start, you know, this is the push to get everybody to get the real ID, that, you know, digital IDs, to have something on your phone that is, you know, on the blockchain or, you know, somehow, right, official, something official that you can, you know, just flash at people. But maybe, you know, I wouldn't, for one thing, they have all your information, you know, they pretty much have all your information anyways. They don't really need DARPA coin. They don't really need, is that the same as the world coin, Salt Lickers? Because I feel like that is. But maybe it might be a chip. Maybe it might be a tag. A mark of the beast, if you will. I rarely go there, but, you know, some people do. Oh, Bitcoin? DARPA coin? Yes. It's duh. But you've heard of the world coin, right? I think they just renamed it World or something like that. It was called something else. I think it was World Coin. Now they encourage you not to delete old emails. Anyways, you know, good question. Or, you know, if not a chip, then a real ID, a digital ID, something you can flash at people. They might be requiring you to have like a digital, you know, which would, a lot of protesters are being told not to bring your phones to protests, to go phoneless. Well, how are you going to flash your real ID if you don't have your phone? But how are they going to track you if you don't have your phone? Columbo was a man. A man about facts. So just supposing you walked in here without your phone. I don't really know if I can do a Columbo voice. Where is it? Where is it? Something else along these lines. Oh, here it is. Okay. Last of this little section. Just one more thing there. Right? He's walking out and he turns around and he's going, I got just one more thing. I just wanted to ask you. Yeah. And this is why there was such a you know, Obama, this is another one of those things that Obama did. Maybe, right? This is one of those like kind of undercover, you know, remember the Obama phone? And everybody was like, oh, just, you know, giving the needy and the people who need help and the poor and the underserved access to a smartphone. But Polly St. George posting this. There it is. Proof that smartphones are essentially absolutely essential to their plans. Of course they are. If millions in the UK canceled their smartphones, do you think the government would go forward with this? And that's an interesting thought. What if millions of people canceled their smartphone contracts? Did something else? I don't know. It's really hard because I feel like the access to communication and exchange of information is essential to our ascension and our evolution. But at the same time, if it's co-opted and crushed, how does it help? Anyways, I'm going to read this. Those without smartphones may be provided with low-cost devices by the government for digital ID. There you go. You must have JAB to access XXX will soon become you must accept and have digital ID to access YYY. Right? You have to have a digital ID to get into a pub or, you know, government buildings or bars or a restaurant or, you know, whatever. Or whatevs, yo. This is very local to me in Santa Ana today. There were some protests, or maybe it was yesterday. Protests against ICE raids. Here's officers getting into it and pointing lethal rounds at some protesters.
Just, you know, my opinion from watching this since we've been on the air, that when a van moves up or comes into view, that's when the crowd, you know, goes forward.
This
and
guy has
to get closer
lethal
to the
rounds.
federal building, and of course the vans get things thrown at them. Well, okay, I don't know what this gentleman here is doing, but
well, and that's
what was that?
This is on a rooftop?
That's an actual rifle. No, it's on a
That's what I
elevated
thought.
platform, and that federal agent is pointing a rifle at somebody. That's
the guy in the yellow, I guess.
yeah.
There's two guys.
and you can see they're kind of taunting each other. You saw that federal law enforcement agent, wave his hand, like, let's go. And that guy in the yellow doing the same
not
thing.
on the right,
something
not on
escalated
the left,
quickly to point,
but in the group.
lethal munitions at that person. That was intense there for a second. So I don't know what the conflict was with that person in the yellow, but that federal agent with the rifle there was not happy.
All right. Meanwhile, back at the lake, devastating heavy. This is in Norway. Devastating heavy water contamination in Nitelva River. Fish populations collapsing along a 10-kilometer stretch. Birds and small mammals dying after exhibiting neurological tremors. Deuterium concentration is 700% above safe threshold levels. Just looking at the byproduct of all of us having all of our drama and we do love the theater. We do love a good show. Brilliant performances. Lovely stories about everything that's going on. But, the fallout from all of our good times here always impacting the silent victims, the ones who cannot speak. The ones who cannot fight back, and yet require all the same things that we require to stay alive. But oh well. And the daily dump coming at the Philippines of all, not the only place, one of several. How close to the closest nuclear power plant? This is in Philippines. Getting it good. By the way, guys, if you like the show, if you support the show, if you want to support the show, that'd be a fine thing to do. I like to bring the show to you for free Monday through Friday. Oh yeah, Fallout I think is appropriate. I'll bring the show to you for free Monday through Friday, and in order to continue that, it does require a bit of support. And if you guys want to support the show, there's ways to do it in the description box of whatever platform you're watching. There's a link tree on X, and all the usuals are there. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, and Substack. Many of you support the show on a regular basis, and I appreciate you. You know who you are. I appreciate you. Norway does not have any nuclear power plants. However, they are working on a small nuclear, an SMR. It's a small modular reactor. Is that what that stands for? I might have it wrong. There's been proposals for SMRs at data centers to support Norway's energy needs and free up grid capacity for other users. We got to have that data. Let's see. Haven't really been a fan of Anna Kasparian lately, but man, she does a pretty good tee off. And you know, again, right, the Young Turks. You know, you got to really take anything that these hucksters push out there. But Anna's saying it with her chest and saying it with some gusto, and sounds like she means it. So let's listen to this. And then we're going to listen to another really good speech about this situation.
Underneath hospitals, and they build terror infrastructures underneath schools, then Israel is targeting innocent civilians deliberately, and it's genocide. Okay, if you truly believe that that's the case, let's safely evacuate them. Oh, we can't because that's ethnic cleansing.
Shabbos,
so I don't
all right,
believe
Shabbos,
that
hang on.
policy that
Shabbos.
The most offensive part about this entire conversation is how people insult our intelligence as if we're morons and we don't see clearly what is happening on the ground right now. We see it clearly. The international community sees it clearly. The only reason why our politicians here in the United States back Israel, regardless of what it does, whether we're dealing with Democrats or Republicans, is because they're all bought. But the international community sees what's going on for what it is. And it is a genocide. There's an attempted ethnic cleansing. And I'm sorry, but Egypt's not interested in aiding and abetting the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from Gaza on behalf of the Israeli government. Not interested.
No, actually, Egypt is not interested in welcoming the Palestinian people, which is why they bombed Rafah 20 years ago. But the mainstream media never spoke about it because it really didn't ruin the narrative. And the second point I want to say is if that argument, Anna, that you are using was used in the 1930s and 40s, that Jews should not be safely evacuated to the United States.
Right, I know. One trick pony.
They need to stay in Germany. They need to stay in Poland. Otherwise, it's ethnic cleansing. What a ridiculous argument.
You're not going to silence my ass by invoking the Holocaust or calling me an anti-Semite. I don't give a shit. Okay, I see what's happening clearly. I'm going to speak up about it, and no one's going to shut me up.
Damn! Oh! I mean, I hope she laid into him pretty good, and she had some good points there. I have a hard time taking anybody at the Young Turks seriously because these people are the biggest flip-flopping liberal retards. Sorry for my offensive language, but they are flip-flopping libs that just, you never know when they're going to turn around and just say something absolutely abhorrent. And I just don't really I don't have a lot of faith in them being the, seekers of truth and justice that they pretend to be. But, that's just me. Going back to the protests, this is a good bit of journalism here. And
this is fantastic and vital documentary photography by Philip Chung. I love this image. Let's talk about what it is telling us. First of all, the thing that caught my attention right off the bat is this dividing line. I mean, it is a solid line. It's a barrier. There's one side and there's the other side, and it's a clear division. The second thing that I noticed about this is look how many people are on this side, hundreds and hundreds of people. And up here on the bridge too, more people all on one side, united against an oppressive side. Look at what everyone is holding. On this side, you have tools of violence. You have weapons, and you have zip ties, restraints, armor. And on this side, you have tools of documentation and communication. It's phones, it's cameras, it's people wanting to tell the story, to get the word out about what's happening to them in their communities. And this is also their best chance at protection, is to document what is happening. So much more you could read into this too. These sides of the highway are going in the opposite direction. One is moving away from us, almost like it's going off into the distance, into the past. And the future, the way that most of us want things to be, is coming towards us, towards the viewer. It's a great photo. And this is why documentary photography is so important. It allows us to look more into a situation and think about it and take in what's going on in our world.
Okay. I mean, it's just one photo. There's so many other videos and photos and things going on. But, you know, interesting take nonetheless. Hold on. I want to go back up here. Going south. Talking about the deuterium in Norway. It's naturally occurring. So this is not this is not waste. Or no? What are we talking about? I'm getting confusing information. I don't know. Hold on. Where is the heavy water coming from? It's still, I don't know. I'm trying to, this is like a historical documenting of heavy water production in Norway during World War II. Okay. Needs more information on that. Bella says a nuclear power plant. Okay. Creative says deuterium is natural if a meteor carrying it struck the Earth. Okay. Are they still producing heavy water? That's what I'm trying to find out. Where is it coming from? That's where I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to find out. Not okay. I see. Well, I'm trying to find something on it, but all I can find is this historical information on it. I'm going to have to let's see. Deline says Norway has 2 temporary storage facilities for nuclear waste and a deep geological repository in the works. Okay. Keep it coming in. Keep it coming in. All right. Well, whether somebody was watching on X or not, X is just not letting me actually show that anybody's watching on X today. I don't know what's going on. Not sure. Some days I get all the viewers on X, and other days, or I get some viewers on X, and other days they just are like, nah. It's usually when they're mad at me for actually having a post that is reaching people, which I did over the weekend. I actually had a post that broke out of their little soft censorship thing that they have going on for me. And, you know, a couple of people actually saw the posts and liked it and shared it, and they're upset. So they want to make sure that nobody sees anything else. And that TikTok did that to me too. I did not get a new copy of the Squeeze album. I did not get a new copy of that. No. Maybe I can find one at a garage sale or something somewhere. It's kind of lower on my priorities right now. I don't have a lot of room for storing keepsakes and, you know, things that I've got, like, I'm at capacity as far as storage goes. So, essentials at the moment. Essentials meaning mostly instruments and things that I can make music with. Anyways, and clothes and whatnot. Where am I at? Where am I at? Okay, let's go to this from James Lee. Staying on the LA story. Once again, LA riots story. Let's see. I don't know how much I'm missing here. By the way, Sly Stone passed away yesterday. If you haven't heard, unfortunately, big influence / hero, musical hero of mine. While we're talking about music, very sad to hear of his passing. There was a time when I had a cassette player in my truck, and one of his records on cassette didn't leave that cassette player for 6 months. It just played A-side, B-side, A-side, B-side, A-side, B-side for like 6 months straight. That's how much I love that record. And man, dude was supremely talented. All right, we're going to listen to this from James Lee, and I think we're going to wrap it up.
I'm about to say some pretty unpopular things, starting with this is not good. Also, this is not a peaceful protest. But something very disturbing is happening in the background that I think you should know about. It's time to deploy Palantir to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You know you love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. This is the grand plan. Okay, it's not an accident that
there's Larry
burning on the streets and people are waving foreign flags on the streets. There is something they're trying to manufacture consent for. Remember, when they justified the passing of the Patriot Act over 20 years ago, they told us we needed all this extra power to go after the bad guys, to get rid of the terrorists. But almost immediately, the government started to use that extra power they were given to spy on ordinary Americans, right? How can you be so sure that you will not be deemed an enemy of the state one day? There's absolutely no guarantee that this master database won't be weaponized against you. And to be perfectly honest, history tells us that the likelihood is pretty high that it will be used against you one day. So to quote RFK Jr., 1, any power that the government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. 2, every power that the government takes, it will ultimately be abused to the maximum extent possible. 3, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. The only thing we can do is resist. Be careful out there, people.
Man, it was a lot of good, a lot of good statements in there, and I appreciate that from James Lee. The last part there. Who's making custom shoes? Really? Huh. The last part about nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism, right? Nobody complied their way into freedom from tyranny. It doesn't happen. You resist, you protest, you persist. Or, you know, some even might say divesting is a good thing to do. Don't know. Maybe all of these things are things to do in tandem, in concert. what else did he say in there? Oh, well, you know, so this has been the master tactic of the people in charge for the, you know, for, I mean, it's been working on people for a long time. But what I'm seeing, you know, what seems to be evident over the last few decades is that you get people on one side of the spectrum or one side of the narrative to call for the, you know, the taking away of rights of people that they think are bad, right? So, you know, it happens all the time. The left on the right, you know, we saw the left against the right for you know, several years, right? Deeming the right Nazis, bad people, you know, whatever, because they were Trumpers or MAGAs and, you know, so when people were saying, well, we got to get these people off the social media because they're saying the bad things and they're influencing people in a terrible way, and we got to shut them up. And not all of it was real. Some of it was definitely like some good old fashioned, you know, Shakespeare, right? Silencing Trump, silencing some other people was good for getting people like, yeah, they did it. They did it. You know, this fool is inciting violence and fascism, and we got to shut him up, right? But the thing is, remember, and we see real world cases of this all the time. When people on the left have called for censorship of the very bad people, it almost immediately comes back on them, right? Like, wasn't a status coup censored pretty heavily, like right after January 6th and Trump was kicked off Twitter or whatever? I feel like that happened. Several left-leaning people were immediately taken down or censored or shut up, as it were, right after they were cheering on shutting up, you know, the people that were, you know, so bad they needed to be shut up and silenced. And then boom, they were silenced. Now, right now, what you have is a case where you're getting these like right-wing influencers. I don't believe that the general population, right or left, wants censorship or the taking away of rights. And I don't care if you're I don't necessarily believe that a lot of MAGA or right-wingers or even Trumpers are into taking away the right to free speech or any kind of rights or into censorship. But if you have enough right-wing influencers out there and you have enough people echoing the idea that like, oh, we gotta surveil these people. We've got to get databases. We got to lock them up. We got to deport them. We got to get rid of them. They are, you know, terrorist or terrorist sympathizers. And you have a, you know, kind of a manufacturing of consent, as it were, around coming down on these people that you deem the very bad people. Yeah, COVID-19, sure. Great example of that. You have this groundswell of support for, you know, getting rid of the bad people, quote unquote, the bad people. Almost immediately that will come back on you. Almost immediately that will come back on you. So be very, very careful about that. And it's a really good idea to not get too invested one way or on one side or the other of whatever you're watching, right? You know, like, consider everything you're seeing on social media as theater, as a show, as a, you know, generated content. That doesn't mean that some things aren't real. That doesn't mean that some things aren't really happening. That doesn't mean that some people aren't feeling a certain way. But you've got to step back from it emotionally. You've got to put a barrier. You've got to put a skeptical barrier between yourself and what you're seeing, and really, you know, not get into judgment mode or emotional triggering mode, right? You've really got to be skeptical of almost everything you see in order to have a clearer picture of it. And also in order to not become a useful tool of, yeah, oh yeah, no, this, oh, hey, F those people, right? And F those people becomes F you, like almost immediately. So, let's stay united in our skepticism. Let's stay, let's not divide, because that, I see it happen all the time. I see it happen all the time. People dividing themselves, getting really emotional and wrapped up in like, no, you're on the wrong side of the, whatever it is. I think if you, bro, stay away from that. Stay, back from that. Stay 10 paces back from that, right? Of being like wrapped up in, you're on the wrong side of the whatever issue. You support whatever, whoever. No, just chill. Just chill out. Because a lot of what you are seeing online is generated to make you feel that and react that way. Just remember that, when you're out there in the real world with your friends, not on the internet, not in chat rooms, not on, X or wherever, right? People just generally don't have those, generally. People have more in common than they have differences. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough of my preaching for today. I want to thank you, each and every one of you in the congregation, for joining us tonight. All right. And enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Y'all are great. And I don't know if I have anybody to thank before we get out of here. Not sure. Not sure. Don't think so. Anyways. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.